And welcome back to the Flow Sports Fix on this Tuesday evening. The Statman's coming up looking at local netball. I also have the two gentlemen in the studio as we have a talk about Saturday football. Interesting conversation coming up as we get into that. But right now it's time for some local football with the Flow Man. Firstly, looking at local footy in SA.
Let's take a look at the Barossa Light and Gawler Football Association. Angaston kicked 22 goals, 152. Way too good for Freeling, 3-9-27. Freeling, though, I guess would be content with the fact they got some score on the board here against the highly fancied Angaston side, who, for mine, look like they are bound for at least a grand final berth, but maybe even more this year. Bornholm and Durden both booted 5, and they've been instrumental in Angaston's good form in recent weeks. In other matches, Gawler Central back into the winners list over the lowly Barossa Districts with a win 19-10-124 to 4-3-27. Well played to the Tigers there. And they had good players in Hooker and Phelps, who both booted 3, and Molyneux, who is their best player, and he was their best on the ground in this game. And in other matches, the close one of the round, Newry Rovers, it was 12-12-84 to beat Williston, 12-11-83, and it continues Williston's struggle on the road. Andrew Jarman and his team putting up a good fight in these matches, but this one keeps Newry's final chances alive, a 1-point victory over Williston at the weekend. And South Gawler 15-9-99 beat Kapunda 7-1-43, and gee, if South aren't the best side in this comp, then Angaston might have something to say, but they are both right up there, South and Angaston, the two blue and white sides that have come together in the Barossa Light and Gawler competitions. It was Golding with 6 for South. He was amongst their better players along with Press, whilst it was Bell and Matters with 2 apiece, and Evans and Hocking, good players for Kapunda. Let's take a look now at football played in the York Peninsula over the weekend. And Big Sammy Jacobs, the former Crows and Greater Western Sydney and Carlton ruckman, he celebrated with his side a win over the old foe at Maitland. Ardrossan 16-10, 106. Central York 8-11, 59. What a performance by the big fella. He was one of the best players for Ardrossan on the day in that 8-goal win over their arch rivals. In other matches, a close one, Pascaville 12-11-83, too good for Kadena, 11-6-72. Well done there to the Magpies. And Moonta continuing their early season form, and they're looking solid, 17-10-112 to beat the CMS Crows 8-5-53. And meanwhile, it was Southern Eagles at the Waruka Oval on their home deck, 12-6-78, too good for Butte, 7-16-58, a 20-point margin there going the way of the Eagles. As we now go to the Adelaide Plains football and weekend matches, has seen Angle Vale emerge as a real threat in this competition. They've got up and had another win, this time over the Hummocks Watchmen Eagles, 13-9-87 to 11-4-70. So it was a 17-point win to Angle Vale on their home ground too. They'll be pleased with that. As were Two Wells with beating Hamley Bridge 23-12 to 8-9. It was a 93-point margin, a one-sided game. Abdillah with 8 and Barnett with 7 for Two Wells, and Matthews and also Barnett were the better two players. McCabe with 4, and he was the best player for the Bomber Boys. And this result, very one-sided. It's an arch-rivals game, but it didn't turn out to be much of a spectacle at Long Plains Oval because Balaclava 23-18, 156 were way too good for United, 2-6-18. Gee, they're having a poor season. The Tigers just haven't got the players this year to compete. Jason McFarlane led the way for Balaclava Peckers with 8 goals, and Hendry and Roos were their good players. Rundle and Watson scored for United, and Pym was in their better players. And finally, Malala 15-10-100, the perfect score, they say, beating Virginia 10-6-66 in the final match there of Adelaide Plains. We go to the Northeastern now. No matches played on the last weekend. They had a league bye, so we'll be looking forward to this week's round 4 clashes in Northeastern footy. North Clare will play BBH, and RSMU will take on BSR in the match of the round 2 of the top sides. That's going to be a beauty at Riverton. While Southern Saints in another really important match at Robertstown, their home deck, they get Min Man, and they need to win the Southern Saints to stay in touch with the top 4, while Blythe Snowtown take on on South Clare. I guess these two might be playing for pride and also to not get the bottom place on the premiership ladder.
And now crossing the border, having a look at footy in local footy, that is, in regional Victoria and New South Wales.
Today we take a look at the results in Wimmera football and in Horsham District. Firstly, though, we head to the Wimmera, and it was a big win by the Ararat side. They got up 10-18-78. They beat the Warwick Eagles 6-7-43. It was a improved performance by the Warwick Eagles. I have to say that they've started the season slowly, but their young brigade is starting to get the hang of this senior football, and they were able to take it right up to Ararat, but the class of the Rats was able to get them over the line. And in other matches, the close one of the round was the one-pointer. Stall 12-8-80 beat Dimboola 12-7-79. That was a battle of the top two sides, and a great performance by the Warriors. It puts them on top of the table, and they're looking great at the start of the Wimmera season. Probably the big surprise for us all. Minyip Matoa back to some real winning form and a 10-goal win over the Horsham Saints, 18-17-125 to the Saints, 8-7-55. A big performance by Minyip Matoa. They've started slowly with a big squad in that they've recruited well after not playing last year, and they are expected to go back-to-back, but they have started a little slowly, but this was a good win over the Saints. And back to the winning form for the Southern Mallee Giants. They were celebrating at Hopeton and Beulah with a 15-10-100 win over Nil, 5-6-36. A well-played effort from the Southern Mallee Giants, and they'll be pleased to be back into the winners list after a close loss the week before. Cook booted 8 goals of their side's score, which was a very good effort from him. And across the grades for the Southern Mallee Giants, that they were pretty happy with their win in the senior football. And they came out in reserves and won it also 8-12-60 to 2-3-15. There were no junior grade games, no 17s for the Southern Mallee Giants, and for Nil, no 14s. So they played a scratch match, which I think would be the first time we've seen that in Wimmera football, where both of the underage games were unable to be played over the weekend. We now move our attention to Horsham District and what's amounting to a really exciting season. Round 5 clashes, and it was a big one at the Cameron Oval for the Swifts, 13-16-94. They got up and beat Laharam 8-4-52. A really good win by the Baggies from down there at Stall. And in other matches, the first win of the season for Kaniva Lior. Their first win in Horsham District after crossing over from the KNT, 111 to beat Eden of Apsley, 9-5-59. A pretty good performance by the Cougars here. They come up against the Saints, who have really fallen into a big hole in the last few weeks. And Fader with 7 and Councillor with 5 goals for Kaniva Lior to lead the way in a excellent performance. Cal Key continuing at their form at the top, 18-12-120 to beat Taylor's Lake, 8-3-51. Tough season for the Lakers there. And it was Harrow Balmoral, 18-16-124, beating Nadimuck United, 7-9-51. While our final one, it was the Bomber Boys at Narragansett. They got up and won over the Japarrit Rainbow Storm, 13-6-84 to 4-8 to 32. They really did do the job, and that was a game that the Storm were hoping to be able to get to keep them in touch with the top two, but it's going to get a bit tougher from here. They also lost the reserve grade game by a cricket score, and it wasn't an easy day down at Quantong for them because they were well and truly beaten in the 17-year-old age group there, and then down into the 14-year-old age group. It was a day where the boys from Japarrit Rainbow celebrated their first victory of the season, 3-3-21 to Narragansett, 1-4-10. They haven't beaten the Bomber Boys at this level before, so they celebrated really well, as all of the young lads from Japarrit and Rainbow would after their first win of the season.
Thank you, Flowman, and you can catch the Flowman on the morning show too tomorrow between 9 and midday, right here on Flow FM, right across the Flow network. He'll be joined with the Statman a bit later on in the show as we have a conversation about Saturday afternoon football, but the Statman, he'll be coming up having a chat next about local netball right across South Australia and also Victoria and New South Wales.